Oh hi, welcome to my YouTube channel. For those who do not know, my name is Sasha and I customize dolls. I have a fondness for Monster High doll and you can see one here. This is a Generation 3 Clawdeen wolf doll, one of the most recent ones that Metal has released. She's a lovely doll. I bought her new in the box. I was very happy to own her because she is frankly my favorite of the whole line. As you can see here though, her hair is quite a mess. It's actually because of the fiber they used for her. If I'm not mistaken, this is actually polypropylene. And it honestly instantly got into that state. I mean, I don't have children, I don't play with my dolls. This is a little sad and I was just very happy to have her on my shelf and show it off. So yeah, no, this won't cut it for me, so I'm going to customize her, and yes, that means I'll be changing her hair. As you can see me prepping her for customization here, I'm just gonna go into a rundown. So my plan for Clawdeen was to keep her as close as her factory self as I could, and well, give her a face in my style and reroot her hair with something a bit better. So I've ordered some amazing hair from Shimmerlocks. This is actually a nylon hair. The color match is not perfect, but it was good enough for me. I mean, I basically had to color match. Looking at pictures on the internet, you cannot really be 100% certain, but yeah, if you want a perfect match, maybe don't go for the same exact colors that I picked up, but it was close enough for me. So here I am dunking her head in boiling hot water to soften the vinyl so I can pop their head off. If you followed a few other doll artists recently, especially Delightful, she made a very good video about it, you would have heard that those heads are a bit harder to pop off than older Monster High dolls. So I've very rarely, I think maybe 2 or 3 times that I've broken neck pegs, and I really didn't want it to happen here, so I am trying my best to pop it off in here. I even hit the tripod holding the camera, and I don't think you can see it, but I was trying to use my tweezers to show that I actually made a tiny hole into the vinyl on the inside where the little pointy parts of the neck peg were, and yeah, I had to make a little sacrifice. So here I found a piece, so you can see that's the piece that I actually poked and removed while trying to get the neck peg out of her neck hole. So to loosely paraphrase Delightful, if you are to remove the heads of the G3 Monster High doll, just be careful and don't twist too much. So here I'm using the same trusty tweezers and I'm just scraping the plugs of hair from the inside. I want to remove everything so I can use the holes to reroot her. And I am fishing the little bits out, and this is actually not glue. I think they melted the ends of the hair inside instead of adding glue, so I don't think it's gonna seep through like older dolls do. It's very hard bits, but I mean, it's a little different, but it's easy to take out, so yeah. Here I am removing the factory paint on her face with 100% acetone or close to it. I'm using heavy-duty nail polish remover. So yeah, I'm leaving the edges there around her face because I actually like them, and I think I'm gonna use them as a base, maybe add a little bit more or thicken them, I don't know. I'll see when I'm gonna be at the face-up. I am not showing it on camera, but once you're done using acetone on a doll's face, just don't forget to wash the vinyl well with warm soapy water, just to make sure that you remove any dirt or any acetone residue. Using a damp watercolor pencil, I'm just gonna mark some areas where I want to be reminded that I need to reroot other colors, just to make sure that I get the hairstyle as close as it was as possible on her head. I also want the brown parts to have the scalp painted brown underneath, just so if you can peek through the thickness of the hair that you don't really see a scalp that is poking out on another color. It's a trick often used to help the hair look a little bit more full. I will link everything below, but if you wanted to know, the colors of hair that I ordered were champagne, rich truffle, and sugar plum. These hangs are usually ridiculously long, so even for Clawdeen, who's going to have hair that's gonna be, well, fairly long, I am using my scissors and I'm splitting it in half, because even if I fold that while rerooting, it's gonna be way more than enough length. So there are more than one technique about how to reroot hair for a doll, but here's my favorite technique, and the only one I've ever used. I'm just taking small sections of hair, and you really don't have to go too big. Just take a small one, I wrap it around my finger, and then I slide it into my tool, just like that, and I plunge it into the doll's head. So the tool I have, I bought it from a doll setting company years ago, but actually it's a fairly easy tool. You can probably make one at home. It's just a handle of an X-Acto blade or anything that would hold a needle, and I'm taking, it's a large, I think a needle that was made for, actually for knitting, like a large knitting needle, and I cut open the eye in an angle. And this is what I use. I basically slide the hair inside the eye of the needle, and I use the needle to plunge the hair inside the doll head, and I'm using the holes that were pre-made. So yeah, it's a very long but fairly straightforward process. And here I have leftover hair, and I use mostly all of the champagne, but I have leftovers of the other two colors. Don't know what I'm gonna do with it, but I'm probably gonna use it sometime. So right now the hair is poofy, but I got all the colors on where I wanted them to be, and here I'm just gonna show you how the color truly matches near the hair I removed from my head. So you see the champagne is not exactly the right color at all, but the other two are, I think, not too far off. Like, I mean, the brown looks a little bit darker, but the sugar plum, the purple one, is a really close match, so at least there's that. So again, I will link everything about the hair that I bought in the description box below, along with the quantity of hair that I ordered and what I exactly use, so you have an idea of the quantity you might need. So here now she looks a little flatter. That's because I gave her a boil wash. I dropped hot boiling water on her head just to flatten the hair out, and it just gives it this more natural hold. It looks a bit wavy. It's because it dried, the hair dried, but it's gonna be enough for me to start working on the hair. I wanted to try to recreate the hair, I mean, the same hairstyle, or as close as I could as the original. I was not really able to do her little bump because that hair is much thicker, but I still got her hair slicked back on the top of her head. So here I am trying, and I say trying, to use straws and pipe cleaners to form nice curls. I'm even using paper towels to try to protect the ends. That's because I don't have hair rollers that would have made my life much easier, and I'm struggle bussing. I don't know if you can tell by looking at the footage, but this was complicated and this was hard, and I cannot say that I did a nice job. I think it's sloppy at best. You really can tell that I'm not really used to work with other hair fibers. I usually go for yarn, and I got used to it, and then now I wasn't ready to order like something a bit more expensive, like genuine good supplies to help me curl the hair, just because I know I might not use them often because I don't order hair like that often, but maybe I should have. Don't know. What do you think? One of the best reference to help understand how to curl synthetic doll hair actually on YouTube must be Zombie X Corn, so I'm gonna leave his YouTube name in the description box so you can check him out. I covered her hair in the weirdest hair burrito ever with a sock that I got at my local dollar store, and I'm starting on the face up. Before I've been able to start drawing on the doll's face, I will say it, I've primed the vinyl with at least a good 3 coats of Mr. Super Clear Sealant, 3 thin coats that you let dry in between for at least 20 to 30 minutes. This is what will give you the right tackiness, the right, not tackiness, but the right tooth. It's gonna give you the surface so your pigments, your pencils and pastels can adhere. It's paper-like, I would say. It's usually how it's described. So this face-up process is gonna be a little confusing, I'm not gonna lie. I struggled bust. I struggled bust big time, and I'm a perfectionist, so I wasn't able to let it go. I think I redid parts of it like 4 times, and I will be erasing stuff, and well, you'll see. I've tried to edit it in the best way possible, but it really was a mess, and it lasted a few days. So yeah. The thing is, I'm still kind of experimenting with my style, and I'm very happy with the directions I'm going, but sometimes I go in a little too hard with not as much of a plan. And the thing with Clawdeen is that I do tend sometimes to struggle a bit with darker skin tone, and she has a bit of a more olive quality to her skin tone, and it's absolutely gorgeous. And I don't know why, but apparently it threw me off. Maybe it's because I'm basic white bread, but yeah, I sort of wanted to give her a cut crease cat eye look, but I wasn't sure exactly how. And her eyes are very deep set. The sculpt on those new Monster High dolls is very, very, very pronounced compared to some of the previous dolls. So I was kind of fighting a bit against it and also trying to incorporate it, and it wasn't working. So a few times you'll see me here. This is a cotton pad with just a little bit of water, and I'm just wiping out some of the pigment without scrubbing too much. What is with Mr. Super Clay is that you really need to seal well at the end if you don't want any of the pigment to go away. So I'm just taking advantage of the fact that the pigment is not completely sealed to erase as much as I can and start over. Well, start over from a point. I'm not starting over from nothing. There's still some pigment on the doll after I've used the water. But you can see here, I'm just trying to work with it. You could use acetone and wipe absolutely everything off and start over fresh, but it would have taken time, and I'm an impatient person. I didn't want it to, clean her fully and restart with, well, priming, which can take a bit of time, and yeah. This might seem a little strange, I guess, from another perspective, but the area where I live is usually pretty humid, and Mr. Super Clear is finicky about humidity, so finding a good window of low humidity when I feel comfortable using as much sealant as I want is actually hard. Sometimes I need to wait a whole week before doing a face-up that I'm ready to do. So I basically just wanted to take advantage of the low humidity window as much as possible. And yeah, maybe I should have taken a break or two, but yeah, it's going places. It's going places. At least it's good practice. I'm gonna say that to myself. I think it's good practice. Also, of course, usually I have a way of how I do face up in steps, and I always follow the same routine, but not this time. I was all over the place, and maybe that's why I struggled bust this much. So yeah, I'm usually starting with the pastels, 2 or 3 layers of them, just to give the face some color and start doing some highlights and contouring and stuff, and placing where I want some darker and more vibrant blushing. And then I would go back with watercolor pencils, dry, not damp, not wet, but dry, to define some of the finer details, and I finish with paint. Usually that's what I do, but not this time. I was, like I said, all over the place. And I'm layering the eye whites without putting any irises there at first, just to make sure that the base is really white, that it shows up, because sometimes some colors I have a bit of a harder time showing. I've also, as you can see here, taken the time to just go over the edges that she had and just thickening them and adding a bit, and I'm going back and forth trying to add some highlights and define the eye shape, but the crease of her eyes is so round and the shape that I wanted is absolutely not round, and I was struggle busting. I tried many different pigments, I tried blending, and it doesn't look too bad yet, but spoiler alert, I'm this is not what she ended up being. This didn't cut it. Yeah, and in case you wonder, that pencil and the other big white pencil that I was holding earlier, not this one, this is a watercolor pencils, but the big ones are actually pastel pencils, and I'm using them just to define some highlights, and I'm blending them with some makeup brushes like I do with most of all the pastels I use. Also, another thing that I don't usually show well on camera because it's done off camera is that I'm using more sealant than I actually made it seem. I didn't just prime with the Mr. Super Clear sealant. I'm actually adding some all throughout the process because I am working in layers. When you feel like your pigments don't show up or stick enough on the face, it's time for you to add another thin coat of sealant, let it dry for 20 to 30 minutes, and then you can go back and start building on top of it again. It gives you the texture you need to be able to draw on the face, but also helps start preserving what is already there. So yeah, it's a pretty important step. Actually, it's pretty much a key to make one of those face-ups. It's using the sealant. And the main reason why you don't see me using the sealant on camera, it's because it's extremely toxic and I'm actually wearing protection when I'm spraying it, and I am doing so outside. And I let her dry in, an extra room we have in our home. It's a storage room, so no one goes there, and she can dry in peace. So at this stage of the face-up, I was getting frustrated again with the eyes, so I'm trying to wing something by adding a little bit of that acrylic paint that I have that is metallic and very pretty. And I was also not feeling the eyes as much. And also the eyebrow looked a bit severe, which I think was nice, but was a little far from, well, the expression that the original had. But I was very happy with the lips. I like the little ombre effect. Here, that extra pink paint was definitely a mistake. I was starting to pile up a little too much, too many layers of paint on her eyelids. And, well, when you do that, you risk making it thick, and it can be scrubbed off, you can scratch it, you can crack it, so you really have to be careful about that, and this is usually why I avoid acrylics on my faces. I tried salvaging what I didn't like by using very big and fluffy eyelashes. I like doing that these days, but it was covering absolutely everything. It was a bit of a mess, and I wasn't happy with it. I wasn't happy at all. So what I did here is I took a larger watercolor brush and I dunked it in water, and I start removing some pigment from the eyes. She looks a bit possessed now, it's just me trying to remove the extra paint, but I go over it right after with some white gouache to help me get a clean slate. I thought that maybe if I redid the irises, I could do them in a way that I would actually like, but spoilers alert, it did not work. I don't know if it translates into the footage, but I was really getting fed up and frustrated, and I really wanted to get this over with this face up, but I wasn't ready to give up, really, I wasn't. So I did my best. I tried my best to try to do it without having to use any acetone at any moment. I didn't want it to start over from scratch, ever. I also didn't like the fact that those eyelashes were really overpowering, so I removed them, and might as well try to remove some of the skin texture that I had made at the same time, just to make sure that I can erase everything well. And this is another attempt, and I absolutely hated it. And at this point I think I went to bed and decided that I would try again tomorrow, because this was not it. And here you can see some of the thick paint like giving me a little bit of trouble as I'm trying to rub it off. And again, I did not use acetone, just some water, and I managed to take some of it off. And as you can probably see, I'm not touching the lips because I actually liked how they were. And then the next day I started something else, and this is what I achieved. And to be honest, I was pretty happy with that one. This is the final look. Don't worry, I'm not starting over another time. I'm just taking my smallest brushes, these are nail art brushes, and I'm adding tiny and fine little details that I think are really giving, it's really like breathing the life into my dolls. I think it's a nice finishing touch. I'm really happy with those sharp, tiny details that I did at the end with the irises and the eyelashes a little bit, because it adds to the feel. She doesn't look as severe, she is smiling, she is wearing a cat eye to end all cat eyes, but it's not that overpowering. Her eyebrows a little more subtle, which I think was a good choice. They're softer, and yeah, that was it. I was ready to accept her as my Clawdeen, and I used a bit of paint like I do always at the end, just to try to add a bit of skin texture. And after I finally sealed her, this is what she looked like. I glossed her lips, and I also added a bit of shimmer to her face with mica powders. And then I go in to remove all of those curls. And I'm not gonna lie, I struggled buzz there also, because the last thing I wanted was her hair to look like a frizzy mess. And I realize, oh wow, accent. And I realize now that I'm talking constantly in this voiceover, I hope that the information is actually interesting and helpful, that I'm not just babbling and annoying all of you. Really hope you learned something at least from my mistakes. So yeah, well, she ended up a frizzy mess, and the curls aren't that gorgeous, they aren't that consistent, they look sad. I didn't know what I was supposed to do with that. I'll be really honest, I even contemplated giving her a boil wash to straighten it and start over, but I actually managed to do, like, as you can see there, something that's a bit more decent. It could be better, but it's a bit better than what it was, and it took a lot of time and a lot of convincing to achieve that result. I wanted to avoid heating tool just to make sure I don't damage or melt or fry the hair, but actually I ended up doing it. I used the metal chopstick method like I do with yarn. It doesn't look much, but all that struggle buzzing was about a bit more than a week, so well, when I was finally done with it, I could finally breathe a sigh of relief, and I started working on her accessories. I first started by repainting her shoes, which took forever because I wanted to add layers and texture, but I'm very, very happy with the result. I use different kinds of acrylic paints just to make every single detail pop and have them not all the same color everywhere. I have honestly no shoe fashion sense, but I think these turn out pretty good. And then I did the same with her many accessories, mostly jewelry. I misplaced the star-shaped necklace, but nah, it's okay. I don't think I miss her. And then her overalls, it adds a small design on the top, and I just use a bit of paint to make it pop because I thought we could barely see it. Then off camera, using Mr. Super Clear and my pastels like usual, I blush her body the same way that I blush her face, and I painted her nails. I think it's a nice little detail you can add on your dolls that can make a little bit of a difference. And then I don't show it, but I added glossy varnish just on the nails, just to make them shine like nails would if you had them done. And then at least it was time to put her back together, and I'm always very excited about this part. So the first thing I did was to remove part of the neck peg because I think it's just unnecessary long. So I'm just using wire cutters to score it, and when I have cut it enough, I just twist and bam! I was a little bit worried that her head was going to be a little finicky to put back on, just like it was finicky to remove, and I was right, so be careful if you do that. And well, with that done, actually, I think she's ready, folks. I'm really happy that I get to show her to you because I think that after all that struggle, she turned out absolutely beautiful. So please friends, don't be shy to go into the comment section below and let me know everything that you think about this doll, about the whole process. I know this was a lot of talking, but I hope that it was useful somewhat. I also wanted to take a hot minute to talk about some other things. I wanted to say thank you and welcome to everyone who has started following me recently. I know that I've made some shorts that I've attracted a bit more views than what I usually do, and I'm very happy about that. So hi, thank you for appreciating what I do. I also wanted to let you know that I still have some prints on sale via my Ko-fi page, or you can contact me on Instagram, so if you want them, just let me know. I've sold about half, I have a few left. As for Ko-fi, I am currently working on it. I want to add tiers of support membership, a bit like Patreon, and I want to offer access to a couple of perks, including a Discord server that I'm working on. So if you're interested, just keep your eyes open. I'll be posting about it soon, probably on the community tab here on YouTube and on my Instagram, maybe on Facebook too if I don't forget to update it this time. Also, starting today, every single donation or every sale that I make from you guys, I'm going to give you all shoutouts at the end of my YouTube videos. So a big thank you to Charles Hilly who bought me my first coffee, and a big thanks to Simakai Hoodies who bought my first set of prints. I also want to thank Morgan, Miranya, Night Squirrel and Cassidy for their support. Thank you everyone for watching, and I will be seeing you in the next one. Though in the meantime, you know, please stay safe.